Greetings, people, and welcome back to Episode 3 of Fair Game. We are continuing our Infiltrator run, and this is the return trip as opposed to the trip we used to get here. Again, using the helicopter. It's basically exactly the same, except you don't have to use Whisper Mode to land since you're landing at your own base. Since we have a few minutes till we get back there, and really the only difference is how long it takes us to get there, I decided that that would be a good opportunity to go over some of the questions I'd been asked by certain friends of mine regarding the game itself. So, in no particular order, here goes. Question 1 is, when do the rogue pilots start showing up, or as I refer to them, crazies? They first start showing up on Mission 2. There's none of them in Mission 1, to the best of my knowledge. They have an increased chance of showing up in Mission 3. I don't have the actual numbers in front of me, like I haven't cracked the code or anything, but from what I've been able to determine, they have a 10% chance of showing up each time you encounter a pilot in Mission 2, and a 20% chance each time you run into one on Mission 3. Number 2, you mentioned some funny quotes that happen every time you die in Infiltrator. Yes, there's quite a few actually. First one that happens, if you crash the helicopter somehow, you get the message, "Gee, that was an impressive landing." You also get the message you were captured by the enemy if you land the helicopter in enemy territory with that Whisper Mode. If you get shot down, I think in the NES version it still gives you the "Gee, that was an impressive landing" message. Commodore 64 version, it actually tells you were shot down. If you were captured by the enemy, it obviously just tells you were captured by the enemy. If you step on a mine, the game tells you discovered a mine. If you drown yourself, the game tells you it's too bad you never learned how to swim. There's doubtlessly more if you run out of time or die in a similar way, but I haven't seen them just yet. Question number 3. Earlier, you mentioned the fact that you got 3 lives. What happens when you die as far as progress? Well, your progress is actually completely reset. This may make you wonder why the hell there's a live system in the first place, since if you die and lose all your lives and get game over, it starts you back off at the helicopter mission for that level. However, since the game has a password system, there's nothing stopping you from just trying again from the enemy base once you actually know the password for it, which basically completely circumvents the point of having a live system in the first place. Near as I can tell, it's mostly a holdover from the computer releases of the game. Question number 4. How good would you say this game actually is? I'd rate it about a 5.5 to 6 out of 10. Question number 5. Since the game doesn't have any actual music, you should insert your own. That's not a question, but that's a very good point, and I think I might then starting on the next one. Question number 6. What are the major differences between versions in the game? There's actually quite a few. The NES version is the one that by far looks the best. The Commodore version is pretty damn good too, and is notable for a couple of major differences from the NES one. In addition to a smaller palette in general, the Commodore version also features a much more fleshed out helicopter mode that's quite a bit more balanced. It also features some nice takeoff graphics, which are cool. The base graphics, however, are completely different. Most notably, the enemy soldiers in the Commodore version are wearing balaclavas and are basically dressed like Russian soldiers during the 1970s and 80s. So, yeah, very much a sign of the times. The ones, of course, in the NES version are dressed much more generically in their beautiful little sky blue uniforms. Though it's worth noting that the other versions of the game take themselves significantly more seriously than the NES version did. There's still all the jokes in the manual, there's still all the silliness in the manual, but there's a lot different in terms of how they're presented. The very first mission in most of the computer versions is you entering the enemy base in order to take pictures of top-secret files and learn their battle plans. Meanwhile, in the NES version, it's sneaking in order to disable a vat of deadly nerve gas. You can tell that it was made in the late 1980s, can't you? The ZX Spectrum port of the game has the distinction of being one of the better ports, but unfortunately its audio is fucking dreadful. It makes really good use of the graphics setup to have larger sprites than the other versions, which almost makes up for the fact that they're basically monochrome because it's the ZX Spectrum. The Amstrad version is the least colorful by far, but is actually a pretty good version all things considered, worth using if you happen to be a fan of that particular platform. Overall, ironic as it is, the NES version is actually the best of the set. If I had to hazard a guess why, it's because the NES's hardware is considerably more advanced. Because of this, it has the best frame rate of the set, it's also got the best graphics, and frankly also has the best audio, which, considering that there's basically no music in the game, is telling you a lot. Anyway, with this, we've landed at our base, and we've successfully completed this mission.